Hey everyone, uh, just a minute. Yeah, so this is day three of JavaScript. So the yesterday we cannot make a live. Sorry for that. So today we're going to have the today's combined class. We're going to have that. So maybe probably takes around 2 hours or 1 hour 40 minutes like that. So whatever the time it will taken to complete all the remaining concepts. So we will take that and we will continue with that. Okay. So the same procedure is going to be that you will get an attendance form in the chat section. Okay, so you will receive that. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, so you will receive one attendance form. Okay, you need to fill that. If you fill that means and if you already filled the already previous class attendance form, then that is fine. You will avail a certificate with the help of that. Okay, so if you have any doubts regarding the previous classes, and you can just write in the chat box, and we can make that much more interactive because we have more time. We have covered a lot more topics so the previous class itself, so which all are mentioned before. We have covered a prototypal, what is prototypal inheritance, what is classes, and what is ES6 syntax, and we have covered so much, right? So we're going to cover here what we're going to cover. Let me see what is promises first of all, and hoisting the important concepts. That's what we're going to get started with, and closures, scoping chains, and if you have time, we will see about discuss about the JavaScript engines and so on things like. Okay, so there are so much of topics is there to cover. Okay, we will cover those things. Okay, so then we can move on. So I just open my JS bin. Okay, so to practice some code. Okay, so I just use the JavaScript and my console to work on with. And meanwhile, if you have any doubts regarding whatever the concept that we are discussing in between, that you can mention it in the chat box. I will explain to that. Okay, let's get started. So the first concept we go and look into is hoisting. Think so. It's actually it's look like simple, but whatever the difficulties that we are facing, some concepts that seems weird when we are working with JavaScript, right? So all the weird concepts that is somehow associated with this hoisting, like the block level scopes, like the difference between let var and const, like the memory space, like so much of thing in the scope chain, lexical environment. There are so much of technical words in JavaScript is there, and each and every concept seems like weird. So each those concepts are actually interlinked with this hoisting. So if he can able to understand hoisting much more better, then obviously we can able to understand most of the weird concept that is not, we cannot say weird concept, most of the work of JavaScript, that's how it is working, we can able to understand it. Okay, so that is what the hoisting is going to be too. So let me see that, and first we will see what is hoisting, and where are the place that hoisting plays some important works, and we will continue with that. Okay, so actually what is hoisting is, it is something the overlooked behavior of JavaScript. With that the memory allocation of with that only the memory allocation of JavaScript is happening. For example, when we are writing something, when we are writing some variable, when we are writing or declaring and variable in an JavaScript, somewhere there is actually two parts is there. One is going to be the memory, and another one is going to be the call stack. So I will give you a diagrammatic representation. So we just Google it and we can find out that. So I just type JS engine. So we will look at this engine a bit later. Okay, so if we have time, we can look at this is something the core topics. So but we actually what we need is, we actually need this one. So JavaScript, we need this memory heap and we need this call stack. Okay, so what is the two things? So actually this is an engine. Okay, inside the engine we have memory heap and call stack. You don't want to care about engine right now, we will discuss that thing later. So the thing is, what is memory heap and what is call stack? So these both are a key element that we need to understand how JavaScript is working when we are writing something, and when we are calling something, how JavaScript is working. Okay, so this because of these two things. So the memory heap is like the storing. When I say creating a variable, I say like the browser create a small container where it is created inside this. So here only all our memories, functions, memories, event listeners, whatever the code that you are writing, it need to be stored in some place, right? So that is going to be the memory heap. So in the memory heap only all our program, what we are writing in our program file, it will be stored in the browser space. So when we are calling, for example, I writing something like this. I just say var a equal to 10. So what is happening? So now once JavaScript read this line, what is going to happen? A memory allocation is going to happen. Okay, it is not going to execute something. You can see if I run this code, nothing going to execute because I don't call anything. I just writing. I need a container, and the container I need to store a value that is 10, and the name of the container is a. So this is what we are assigning a value, right? So this how once JavaScript read this line, what is going to happen? Uh, well, you can able to see memory heap. In the memory, what happened? A container will be created and the values get added to it. Okay, but when I call like a, now what it is calling a function. Okay, sorry, it is calling a variable. If I say simply say a, it will not throw any error. For example, if I simply say a, you can see it is not throwing error. Why? Because we are calling it, but we don't say where to display the answer, right? So I just call the console log to display my answer. For example, I just say console.log, and here you can able to see a. So what happened? I just want to display whatever the container in my console.log. So this is execution. You can see console log, I'm calling, I'm evoking something, I'm executing something, right? So that is evocation. So that comes under the call stack. So whatever the memory that we are storing, that will be comes inside this memory heap, and whatever the variables or a function that we are calling, it will comes to the call stack. And both of them have their separate functionality, and they will do, they are different. Okay, so they're not like that. So it's simply calling it like that. Their functions also very different. Okay, for example, memory heap. When I say memory, we know that memory is limited, right? So whatever the language it's maybe, whatever work that we are doing, the one thing that we are looking to solve is how to cut cost our memory. So why? Because when or less memory is occupied, our website or web browser must be much more perform well. We don't want to care about that when we are creating some progressive web apps. So we need to really focus on that. Memory is very important, like Spotify, like Netflix, like Hotstar, like that. So they are progressive web apps, right? So we need to handle more memory. So the thing is here is the memory is going to be limited. So what has happened when you are assigning a value? So what is happening? So it is go and in the memory heap, and that is limited. We need to really take care of it. And second one is going to be the call stack. So what is that? Execution. For example, we are writing an event listener. If someone clicks the button, then it need to change to background color, right? So that is an event listener. So that event listener in the memory heap, when someone clicks it, it will comes to the call stack because the function is evoked, right? So they are calling it. So now it come to the call stack. Once the work of the call once that function's works is done, then it will remove from the call stack. Memories are constant, it will not remove. Okay, I not say all the memories. Some of the memories are there in the whatever the memory you are creating. For example, you are creating a variable and you are creating blah blah, whatever you are creating, it will be there in the memory heap. Okay, it will never, we cannot, we don't do anything. But when we are calling a function or anything like that, what is happening? The function is get executed. Okay, so the function is get executed, and this executed function, once the function execution is completed, then the function is get removed from this call stack. Okay, so the call stack always keep his place empty. Okay, so what it will do, always keeps the space empty, then only we can able to, whenever we are there are so much of functions is there, what we can do, we can able to run again and again. What happened? The call stack, run it, remove it, run it, remove it, run it, remove it, then it is easily handle it, right? So that's what it will, that's what the call stack will do. So it is a working functionality. We will discuss much more deeper if we have time at the end. We will discuss that, or just take it easy, that's not fine. That's two things there, one is for memory and another one is for execution. Okay, so here what we need to understand is, so that is if I say memory, the allocation. So what is that? When we are declaring a variable or a function, so it just go and store it in a variable, but how? And how it is storing, and that is the main thing. So it is that simply taking a, like creating a container and just putting a value and like that, or it has some process, or it has some mechanism, or how it is working, right? So we need to understand, right? So that is what the hoisting is mainly takes place. So the hoisting is something that kind of related to the memory allegations only. We will discuss that. So I will show the steps by line by line. For example, what is hoisting? So the first thing that we need to understand, don't care about my typo. If I made any typo, that is fine. So simply it it, whatever the variable, whatever the, it will just move the data to the top. Simply understand, that's it. Okay, so we will break through it. What is that? It simply move the data to the top of your document like this. Okay, technically it is not correct, but just understand purpose. Okay, that's it. And what is that means? So we look into what is that, and before that, where it takes place. So whether it will happens in all the memory allocation in JavaScript or particular type. Well, where? So the hoisting takes place only when you create a variable with var keyword and a function declaration type. Okay, right now I'm using only, but at the end I'm going to change it. Okay, so just understand now itself. So okay, after that we can move on further. So now just understand var keyword is going to when you are using var keyword and the function declaration. So what is function declaration? As it is calling a function. So we have two types, right? Function declaration and function expressions, and arrow functions, generators, so much of things. But main two syntax, arrow, sorry, this declaration type and expression type, right? So what is meant by declaration type? So calling a function, function name, parenthesis, and code to execute. And what is expression types? So storing a function inside a variable, that is going to be the expression type. Okay, so but here the function, so hoisting will takes place in var and function declaration. Okay, remember the words. It just move the data to the top of the whatever the file that you are doing. It just move the data to the top of the file, and it will only take place in the keyword with var and the function declaration. Okay, so now let's see how it is takes place, like how it is takes place in when I say variable. When a variable is created with the var keyword, it is partially hoisted. Partially hoisted. Okay, remember the word, this partially hoisted. When the hoisting takes place in function, it is fully hoisted. Okay, that's what. Okay, so these three lines is more than enough to understand and the concept and break through it. For example, let us see what is hoisting first of all. So for that, what I'm going to do, I just remove this one. This, these three things, it's what very important for us. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, let us go here, and I'm creating a variable with var, or we can go with let. First we will see that. Okay, I will just give a simple demo explanation, and we can debug, like decode how it is working and all. I just creating a variable let, and I just say a equal to 10. That's it. Okay, we have created. So now what's happened, just imagine what is going to happen. Okay, so we know that we have two things. One is going to be the call stack, right? And another one is going to be memory heap, and another one is going to be call stack, like this. Fine. So when we are creating let a is equal to 10, okay, if I what just happened in memory heap, the a value 10 is get added, right? So this is what we know, right? This memory heap, it will just get added to the 10. That's it. So what if I call like this console.log a, what is going to happen? When I call console.log a and let const is equal to 10, just imagine right now you are creating a function, and in itself you are telling that console.log a. So for the first line, when JavaScript read the code, is going to execute a. But you can notice that the a is not yet read, right? So only this line is added. So once it reaches this line, what is going to happen in call stack? Started to evoke this function, right? Because it is calling the function, so it is going to evoke the function. So what the call stack will do at the time of JavaScript reading the function, there is no in the memory. It just look for the memory heap, something that is in the memory heap, no. Then what it is going to throw? It is going to throw an error or whatever. It is going to throw it, right? So it is going to throw it. And once that is done, then what is going to happen? Then only this memory is get created. So once the function is executed, then only is created. During the execution of the function, there is nothing in this memory. Okay, let me execute it and it will make sense, right? So it's throw us reference error, cannot access a before initialization. So what it is saying, so it says that there is no such variable. It is not like both are going to be same. Even you can say a comment of it, and if I run it, it is going to give me a reference error. It is not defined. So a little bit change will be there, right? So right now, don't confuse with that. We will discuss that. So just understand this one. This reference error cannot access a variable before initialization. So what is mean by initialization? Simply a variable with the value we are declaring, right? So this is called as initialization. So you cannot work with let and const before before the variable is evoked. You cannot call it. That makes sense, obviously, right? Because there is nothing in the memory, then how it is can able to access it, right? So if you don't have 1 lakh rupees in your bank account, then how would you withdraw it, right? Same like that. That's what here also. So here we have the variable. It is not in my environment, then how can I access it, right? But it is possible when I declare a variable with var. You can notice that when I use let, it is throwing reference error, right? But now it throw me undefined. So you just understand the difference between these two things, undefined and reference error. If it is an error, then something is went wrong. When it is mean be undefined, it is a data type in JavaScript. Okay, it is a special data type that is no other languages both have of, and JavaScript has, right? So what is that? So actually, what is undefined? Well, let's see. Let us go here, and if I type var a simply like this, and if I console log a, I just create a variable without a value and just creating it. Clear, run, you will get undefined. Now you can understand what is undefined, a variable without value, and also a variable with value with a special type of keyword that is going to be undefined, like this. If you do like this and if you run it, still it's throw us undefined only. Okay, you can able to understand it, right? So it is a special type of keyword. So if it is included and it is a special type of keyword, then there is actually a purpose for it, right? So we have null, both are little bit undefined null. We have some similarities crash with these two things, right? So then actually why undefined is meant for? So actually this is not make any sense. This is not make any sense. If I don't want to add, if I want to create a variable with undefined, that is not make any sense, right? So why we have this undefined? Let us see here and we will decode it. Okay, so let us now when I say var a is equal to 10 and I try to access before the initialization, then it is throwing me that undefined, right? So which means it is in the memory with value of, so the a variable is in the memory with the value of not 10, the value of undefined, right? So this is the exact meaning. That is why it's throwing me an undefined, right? So what is happening before the JavaScript reads this line, the memory allocation is happened, and for that memory an undefined value is stored. That is why what is happening, it is when I call the var variable, it is throwing me undefined, right? So that is actually called as hoisting. So whenever you are declaring a variable with var keyword, what will happen means that memory allocation is happen before the JavaScript going to execute the code. Okay, so during that phase you can see what all are the things that that particular what memory allocation happen. So I say that when you are using var keyword and function declaration, right now we are using var keyword, so for this the memory allocation is going to happen, which means it is going to move to the top of the file before the JavaScript started to run the code. The memory allocation is going to happen. And third line, it is very important. So why undefined is throwing, that's here you will get an answer. Variables are partially hoisted and functions are fully hoisted. So I just mentioned this word, right? So what is meant by partial hoisted? If I say partial hoisted, the values are not moved to the top of the page, or values are not assigned when they are when the memory allocation is happened. Only the space, container space will be happened. For example, right now we have created this code, right? So how the memory allocation has happened means before JavaScript run the code, what JavaScript will do, it will look for anything that with var keyword and function is there or no. So here the var keyword is there. So what is the var? Var is a variable. So if it is a variable, then what it is going to happen? It is need to partially hoist it, which means it will allocate a memory in the memory heap like A, like this, but not with the value that is the partial hoisted. It just allocates a memory and there is nothing here. So in that case, what it will do, it will put undefined. So now you can understand what is the difference between undefined and null. When I say null, that is the value. Null is going to be the value. By purposely, I'm putting that, right? So it is irreplaceable value. For example, you have a data and it is telling that, like for example, you have BP, and in that place you will see null, which means you don't have it, right? I cannot put undefined. If I put undefined, then the value is going to be replaceable, right? When I take the test, or again I can take the test and I can, what I can do, I can able to put the value for, right? But when I say null, I checked it, that value is null, that is empty. Why purposely I'm putting it? But when we are declaring the undefined, it is a special keyword that is in JavaScript. When I'm putting undefined, it is going to be replaceable later anyhow in the code. Okay, so if I say something like, if I put undefined, then it's just simply look like that only. Okay, so that's what it is mean. Okay, I think have you understand it? So when the memory allocation is happen, so the hoisting takes place, the partially hoisted, it just takes places, and before the JavaScript read the code, what is going to happen? The memory allocation is happen. So because of that, the A variable already allocated the memory, so we have undefined. And what has happened when it reaches now console.log? So what is going to happen? So this console.log is going to execute in the call stack. So now it is executing in the call stack, and you can able to see we have the memory allocated because of this hoisting. So what is that? Undefined. So now if I clear and I run it, you can see we will get this undefined. Then what happened? Now it will read the next line of code. The next line of code is A is equal to 10. So now we already have A. Okay, so now I just get the value. So now I just going to add the 10 here. So if you call A before, after it, okay, now what's going to happen? Now the value is changed, and when once the console log A, the first function is run, it will get removed from the call stack, and the memory allocation is changed, which means the values just change, and now this console.log is going to execute, and it is in the place of here. And when you call the function, now it is going to give me 10. Okay, so this is what happening here. So you need to understand what is the difference between null and undefined. So null means I am telling that the value is empty and the space is getting occupied, no one is can able to change it, or I cannot say that, okay, until if I make any mistake. But undefined is we are not using, we are not going to use, like I'm saying, like let A is equal to undefined. There is no meaning in that. JavaScript itself puts undefined when you declare a variable without an value, right? So undefined is a special keyword. So during this hoisting process, JavaScript itself puts, and it itself puts, and then what it will do, it will just what is going to do, just a minute. Yeah, it is just going to what's going to happen, it's just going to replace the value when it reaches the value. Okay, so that's what going to happen. That's what happening. So once again repeating, variables are partially hoisted, which means only the values are go here, not the only the space which for which variable, which container I want to create, it is get partially hoisted and it will not go. So now we will write the hoisting process to understand it. I have a variable like var A equal to 10. Okay, and when I creating a function, so here I going to create a declaration function like name, like this. So now I just want to return hello. Okay, so we know that in simple terms how it will happen. Okay, it will read the line, memory allocation is happened, and the second line, memory allocation is happened for function. And when I call console.log A, and when I call console.log name, invocation, what is going to happen? So the A has 10 and the function has the return keyword with hello, right? It has a function with has a return keyword with hello. So when the console.log execute, it is going to execute me 10, and once it is done, it will remove from the call stack and it is going to execute me name, right? So this is what we expecting, right? This is what we are seeing. But initially the memory allocation, how it is happening means, initial before the JavaScript start to execute what read everything in the document, the memory allocation is happened with the hoisting process. So what is happening? So it will screen whether var keyword is there or not, or declaration function is there or not. If it is there, then what happened? Before the memory allocation is happened, before the JavaScript reads the file, the memory allocation is going to happen. So we know variables are partially hoisted, functions are fully hoisted. What is the meaning of this? If I say variable, then only A is equal to undefined, like this, because it has no value right now, but it is hoisted and defined like this. Okay, it will add it to it. And what happened? The function, we have the function, right? It is fully hoisted, which means everything in the function will be hoisted. The function name and what it is going to return, the parameter, everything. Okay, not value statements, block of code, everything will be hoisted, fully hoisted. Okay, so it will be there like this. Once it reaches the initiation phase, which means the value given phase, let va is equal to 10. Now what's going to happen? Okay, so I just want to initiate this 10. Now it has the 10. And when I say name, okay, so I already have the name, don't want to care about. Okay, fine. And then it asks for console.log a. So the console.log a is come here and execute it, look for it, it is 10, and it will be evoked. And when I say, and once it is evoked, it just remove from the memory and it is going to evoke the console.log b, and it is going to evoke the name function. Okay, so that's what it is going to do. So that is for, with the possibility, with the help of hoisting, we can able to access a variable and their function what before initiation happens. For example, here if I ask for, instead of calling the function down here, if I ask for here, now let's see the flow. So before the code going to execute, what is going to happen? The memory allocation is going to happen for var and function. So for var keyword, we are going to have undefined, and the function, it is fully hoisted. So now first line of code is console.log a. So if I execute console.log a, what is going to happen? It is throw me undefined because it does not meet this line, right? So then the second line of code, I need to execute a function. So if I started to execute a function, then what happened? Here it is fully hoisted, which means we can able to call a function before invocation. So that is the thing. Okay, so we can able to call a function. Let's see what is happening. Let's clear, and if I run it, you can see undefined, and the function is get executed before that. You can see before that. So why? Because of the hoisting, we can able to do it. If I change the variable to let, it will not possible. Take the rule 2, var and function. Okay, you can able to see error, reference error, cannot access a before initiation, right? So it is not possible, but it will works when we are declaring with var like this here. And if I run it, you can able to see undefined hello like this. We can able to do it the same like this. If I use the const name expression type like this, const name is equal to function, just execute it. Now if you try to access a function before initiation, you can see reference error, cannot access name before initiation, right? So it's throwing us an error. You cannot access a function with the const with some expression type. Okay, but you can able to access a function with the declaration. So if you have a function with a declaration type, then you can able to access it, right? So this is actually what is hoisting is. So what is actually hoisting? So moving your just a way of aligning your memory to the call stack, sorry, memory heap. So what, with the help of that, what you can do, you will move towards the top of the document, and because of its complexity, most of them try to avoid what, so working with some hoisting, but it is irreplaceable in some of the concepts, some of the working principle. It is actually needed, but not for the most. So most case, we don't want to write the code that is unpredictable. Here you can see something. If you, if a developer understand it, then you can able to predict it. But if a developer can't, then it will be little bit tough for them, right? So just a minute. Okay, so it will be tough for them. Okay, so that is what that's what it is going to do. Okay, so simply that's it. This is a concept of hoisting. So with the help of because of this hoisting, what you can able to do, you can able to call a function or evoke a function before the initiation too, but that is not the use case. It is to understand how the memory allocation is happening in the JavaScript, and because of this flaw, so we can able to have some overlooked behavior that is actually called hoisting. So it makes sense in some most of the things. Okay, so it will be confusing when you see all the where all of, what all are the place that the because of this memory allocations something the concepts are affecting, then it will more confuse. So I will highly recommend, once you completed this webinar, you will see and Wednesday episode. I'm taking a Wednesday episode, a series, uh, like it is called as Holo series, Holo JavaScript. It is in that series we will explain about, yeah. So in that series, we will explain about how JavaScript internally works, the engines and whatever it is, right? So here I say some of the things like it will not work in let and const. The hoisting will not take place in let and const, but actually it will. Hoisting will take place in everywhere, but because of some factors, we cannot access it. Okay, so all other core concept to the core principal concept that has been it is being explained in the Wednesdays. It is a 1 hour, sorry, it is a half an hour premium or 20 minutes premium. You can watch it. You watch it in the video session. It will be there for every Wednesday. Okay, you can able to get that. Okay, so to understand much more the internal workings of JavaScript. But if you are right now understanding the advanced concept, don't give much focus, because you will not see the hoisting process working in your everyday day-to-day works. Okay, so it will be really helpful to crack some interview questions, and also it will be really helpful in creating, when you are creating some process that is going to be really complex, it will be, and it will be very neat, okay, to understand the memory management. Okay, well, okay, so this is actually hosting, and because of this, we can able to write some unpredictable code. That is why the community says that don't use var, use let and const. So the var is a global scope and let and function is local scope. Yeah, of course, there is no doubts in that. It is not. It has a block level scope. So okay, fine. So okay, okay. Let, so var, right now we have var, right? So because of this var keyword, we can write some unpredictable code. For example, if I say let a is equal to 10, and if I say let a equal to 12, it is completely not possible, right? Why? Because the same variable, same initiation is happening, so it is throwing me an error, syntax error. Remember the word syntax error, which means no other code is not going to work. So if you can able to see console.log a, console.log name, anything like that, so those code will not work because it is a syntax error. Okay, so when you are having the syntax error, that any other code in your file is not going to work because it is a syntax error. Okay, you need to understand that. But the same thing, it is possible with var. When I declare it with var, it will be run without throwing any error. You can see no error. I run, it will be throw no error. Why? Because of this hoisting. Because when the hoisting takes place, what is going to happen in var keyword, you can able to understand. First, it will read this, it will check var a is equal to 10. Okay, so hoisting takes place, so var is equal to undefined. And the second, and then it looks for again a, so I already have it, so same place I will take it for undefined. When you say var a is equal to 10, initially it replaces the variable with the 10, and when you reach the second line, it is going to replace the value with the 12, right? So that is how it is going to do. It will be work here. Okay, so don't care about that much, but this is the concept, actual concept. It is makes so unpredictable code, so that is the reason. Because of that, the most of the community is not working with that. Some runs and let and var is declared, var a is equal to 10, and yeah, that is actually what I'm saying. Okay, so okay, you cannot declare like this. Because of this war, we have these three conditions, right? So just remember that. So the hoisting takes place with var and function declaration right now, but it will take place in all the keyword also. But right now for var, it will be happens much more familiar. Okay, so var, when var keyword, when you are using var keyword, because of it hoisting is work, then you can able to reassign the same value with again and again, but you cannot do with same thing with let. It will throw a reference error. Okay, so the variables are partially hoisted and the functions are fully hoisted. Okay, so this all about hoisting. If you have any doubts regarding hoisting, tell it in the chat box. We will discuss that. Okay, we have much more time. Okay, so then fine. So now the next thing we're going to see is about the higher order function, which is going to be the base for closures. Okay, so higher order functions. So what is meant by higher order functions? So if I say higher order functions means there are around three main qualification to get into higher order functions, or we can say language that treats functions as their first class citizen. So to a programming language or anything that need to treat a first class citizen a function, then the function should perform three things. Saraya. Okay, that is fine, no problem. You can watch the advanced concept from the beginning itself, then you can grab some of the advanced concept. Okay, so Abhishek, you can get through that. Okay, so you can watch from day one itself. Okay, you will grab some of the advanced concepts also. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, so what we talked about the first class citizen. So a programming language that treats a functions as a first that need to teach a functions as a first class citizen, then it should have three qualification, we can say like that. It should have three qualification, or the function should perform three things. What is that means? The first one, a function a function should return another function. Okay, so that is actually higher order function we're going to discuss. A function should returns another function. What does that mean? Let's see the first qualification. First qualification is a function should return another function. For example, you have a function and it is going to be by, this is going to be the function name, and this function is going to return another function. That function is going to be eat. Right, you can able to see when I call this by function here, I will write get food equal to, you can say code rice, like this. Okay, here I ask for console.log food, right? So this, when I call this function, what is going to happen? This function is going to execute, return me another function, and here I just going to say console.log eat the food, like this, right? So now if I call by, what is going to happen? Well, if I evoke the by function, then the by function, first what happened, the memory allocation is happening for the let keyword, the foot curd rice, and the console log is executed. The foot, the curd rice is going to print in my console, and it is going to return, what it is going to return? Actually, it is going to return me a function, right? So this is what it is going to do. Let's see, I just want to grab the answer in my console. Okay, I call console log doc and by evoke the function. If I run it, you can able to see the curd rice which we have created, the variable is successfully created. So we are having the curd rice, and the console dot food is created, and it is displaying here. And what is the function? If I call the function, what should it return? It returns another function, right? So this is actually higher order function. So another function. So you can able to see the function name is eat, and don't care about this. This is because of the JS bit we are using. Okay, it will throw like that. So to say like in the console.log, you need to eat the food, you need to print it. If I want to evoke this function, then what I need to do? So you can able to see this is the function name, and what this parenthesis is used for? The parenthesis is used for evoking a function. So without using the parenthesis, nothing. It's just like it just returns what all are the things inside it is going to return. For example, if I don't use this parenthesis, then what it is going to return? It is going to treat as an data. So it is just simply display whatever it is inside. You can see it is a function and it is going to let, and whatever inside it, it just simply return it. But when I use this parenthesis, I am telling the all stack to take this function and evoke, run it. Okay, so just invoke it and run the code what is inside. And what happened? The memory allocation is happened, and the console log food is going to happen, and it is going to return me the function for us. Okay, so this it will do it. Okay, so you can able to see clear, run it. Now the function is invoked and the values get written. So now what if I just want to further run this function? How can I do this? Simple, given another invocation. So by is calling the function, this is going to invoke the by function, right? So once the function is get invoked, now we have the eat function, because that is what it is going to return. And if I say another invocation, now it is going to invoke this one. So now what are the things that we will get in the console? If I clear and if I run the function, what is going to get? First, let us understand the by function is evoked, the memory, the code race is created. When I say console.log food, the code race is going to print, okay, and it is going to return as a function, right? It is going to return as a function for us. Once the function is get returned, the function is going to invoke, right? The function is going to invoke. So now what's going to happen? The console.log eat the food is going to be run. So if I run it, you can see, don't care about the undefined, it is not the scenarios, okay, because here we are not returning anything, that is why. So if I remove this console and if I say return eat the food, like this, okay, clear. If I run it, you can able to see curd rice eat the food, right? So actually this is called as higher order function. We will look much more deeper how it is, what is the use case and how it is that, and we will see that. Okay, so here the first qualification is the function should returns an another function. Okay, so when you are calling a function, the function should returns an another function. So that is the first qualification for becoming a first class citizen in a programming language. The function should become a first class citizen. And second is going to be, what is the second condition that we need to focus is the function a function can capable to store inside and variable. Okay, actually that is called expression function, expression, right? So storing a function in an variable, which means we can able to store a function inside a variable. Okay, so that is what the expression type of the function is do. Well, how, let us say if I create a variable like const, right, name, and I can create a function like this or an arrow function somehow like this we can able to create. So what we are doing, so here we are storing a function inside and variable, right? So JavaScript, this is also possible, this is an actual syntax, right? So we can able to store it, so it is also get passed in the second qualification. So what is the third qualification? So a function can take another function as an argument. So what is meant by that? So which means a function, we can able to pass a function as an argument to another function. Let's see, for example, we have a function. Okay, the function is going to be, I just cut it off this. Okay, so we have a function. The function is going to be by, and here it has some parameters like what are the things I need to buy. I say item. Okay, and here I just want to say confirm, like this. Okay, like this, item and then confirm. So here I just going to create another function. Okay, let me create here function, and here I just say display. Okay, and it is going to get some values. So that value is going to be something like I just say the data. Okay, so whatever the parameter data that it is displaying, it just want to display it in my console. So I just say console.log data, and here I just going to write some code in this function. So what we can do means function. So here I just say we have the item, right? So I just want to create a sentence. Let data, we can say let the item detail equal to, here I just simply say you ordered and plus item. So whatever they ordered plus item. So now what I want to do means, here you can see I used one parameter, but I don't use the another parameter. Okay, so before we pass the argument, so if I say just buy, the first parameter is equal to what I need to buy. So I just want to buy the pizza like this. And the second parameter is not going to be a normal data, the input that we are giving. It is going to be another function. So actually we created it. You can able to see we have display. So what I'm going to do, I just going to pass the function as an argument. That is what I exactly we talked about. So a function can capable to pass another function. So like we can able to pass a function as an argument to another function. So then that is the qualify the JavaScript has. It actually has it. So what we can do, we can just pass the function to an argument to this function, and here we can able to get the function. Right now this conform is going to be the display function. So what can I do? I just say write conform, and here you can see now the display function is nothing but this conform. So or we can simply here also we can mention as display if you don't want to confuse. So I just simply like display. So now what's going to happen, once the order is given, the order sentence, the detail is maken, then the data what we are getting, it should go inside this function. So now what is going to happen, so we are calling the function being giving what the order foot, and we are say display data. Okay, now what's happened, this item is creating a sentence with that particular item, and the display data is go and evoke this function, and this function is going to print the data in our console, right? So what we are going to get, your order item is pizza, right? If I clear and I run it, it says display. I think I made a mistake here somewhere. Display. Okay, here. Yeah. Here, and if I run it, you can see your order item is pizza. Let's give a space like this. Okay. So like this, we can able to write it. If we don't give anything, if I just give simply, and if I try it, you just say you ordered and nothing. So you can use the if else stack condition to create something like that. Okay. So sir, but one function is declared other and call and pass argument, it is an higher order functions. Not only that is higher order functions, we have set of rules. Okay, so not only that, right now we are passing the callback function, right? So it is also higher order function. So what is the heading? Higher order functions, right? A function can capable to return and another function. A function can capable to take a function as an argument. A function can capable that if the function is stored in another functions, that's also an higher order functions. Okay, so if the functions are those all are called the higher order functions. So if the functions has that much of things in a programming language, they are called as first class citizens. Okay, the functions are treated as a first class citizen in a programming language. Okay, so both are higher order functions only. Okay, so not only these things. For getting into higher order function, we have so much of things, and actually this is called as callbacks. So what is a callback? A callback is a higher order function, right? So passing a function as an argument to another function, it is called as an callback, and the callback is an higher order functions. And also a closer higher order function. So everything till now we have discussed about the three qualities, right? So that is all comes under the category of higher order functions only. Okay, so not only that, particularly callbacks are higher order function, not only that, closers are higher order functions, and all other categories that we have discussed, whatever the function that comes under, whatever the concept that they are coming, everything's an higher order functions. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is what. Okay. So this is called as higher order functions. Okay. So actually, what is closer? Okay. So that's what we need to discuss. Okay. So if I say closer, it is a paradigm. So what is closer? It is a paradigm. So what is mean by a paradigm? Like they are the principles. So if I say and JavaScript, so what is JavaScript? So whether JavaScript is a object oriented programming language or functional oriented programming language, I think I asked the questions before itself. JavaScript is flexible, which means JavaScript is both functional oriented and object oriented. It's not, we cannot say JavaScript is only object oriented. We cannot say JavaScript is only functional oriented. So it is flexible. It can capable to do both. You can able to create an object oriented uh, project, like you can able to work with object oriented also. If you're comfortable with, you can able to work with, and if you want to work with functional oriented also, yes, of course you can able to work with the functional concept also you can work with. And closures are functional oriented. Okay, so they are functions, they treat, that's why the concept first class citizens, JavaScript treat their functions as a first class citizen. Why? Because these closures compose and so much of things, other things that we have. So I think we have one more thing I just forgot out. So with these functions, they are paradigms, so they are principles, so like, we can able to use it, like how if I say object oriented programming language, we have so much of things, right? So we have the 4 pillars and how to write the object, and what we can able to use an object, and security principles, and so much of things, right? So that's what. Okay, so okay, fine. So what's up for that? Okay, so actually we can able to use it as I'm telling about JavaScript. Okay, so yeah, we can able to work with flexibly in both the things. Okay, so closures are much more, not much more, they are the functional oriented. If you want to create a component with functional oriented programming languages, then closures are the principle. So if you understand closures and compose and everything, that are functional oriented, they are object oriented. Okay, so when you are in the world of web, you cannot replace the functional oriented concept. That's very important. Okay, because the most famous libraries, you can see, they are has the trend, so it is an uptrend for functional oriented programming language. So we have the uptrend for object oriented programming language, right? So in the late 20s, we have the those who are capable to understand the object oriented programming language, what they can do, they there is an uptrend, so they are good programmers like that. They have their uptrend, right? So likewise, the nowadays the functional oriented program language has the uptrend. Okay, so you can go the most loud languages, you can type it. So not the basics like Java, C++, like that. So right now the uptrend is for closure. So there is a elixir closure, and one more thing. So they are all functional oriented programming languages. So right now 2023 is functional oriented program. Okay, so that's what it is going to do. Sir, how to build and logic? Well, it is it is depends upon the what project that you are doing. So these concepts I say, like the closures, compose, and everything. So with help of this concept, you can able to create logic. So this is the base. If I say object oriented, what we will do, we will create this. Let us take a core. It is data. It is a function, and with the help of that, according to your project, you can change it. Like that, we will say, right? Same like that for function oriented project, we need to learn about the closures, and we need to learn about the compose, and pipe, and some more we need to learn it, and we will think so. Oh, what are the problems you have to create creating in things? Okay, so actually creating things, you can tell it in the comment box, no worries, or you can tell that. Okay, so JavaScript are pretty easier when you get into the concept of this kind of paradigm concept, then it will be a little bit tough for you. But these concepts are not, you're not going to use it. This is for understand purpose, to write, to understand it, how it is working and everything. But these concepts are really simplified, and like frameworks, like libraries and frameworks, they really simplified this concept. And JavaScript have thousands and more than hundreds and thousands of libraries and frameworks. You can use that to execute the things. Okay, so that is one. For example, you can see the difference between the function oriented and object oriented in React. You can able to see the class based component and function based component, right? So most of the people, and the trend is in the function based component, not in the class based component. Even the documentation is also changed in 2023. So if I say class based component, then they are created object oriented, there are more object specific. When I say function oriented components, then they are react, then they are functional oriented. Okay, so they are actually this paradigms concepts. Okay, let us understand that closure first of all, and then we will move on it. So closure is just a simple concept, uh, accessing, but it is much more powerful. Accessing your parent variable, even the function is not going to execute anymore, even the function is not lives. Okay, so we can able to access it. Let me decode we could further, and then we can try to understand that. Let's get started. Okay, so for example, we have a function. Okay, I have a function to buy something. Okay, so here I just going to create let. Okay, I just going to say food equal to, I just mentioned, and pizza. Okay, like this. Okay, so then what we can do, we can return a function. So here comes the higher order functions categories. Okay, so return a functions. Okay, so this is also higher order, and the asynchronous, that's also the callbacks. That's also higher order. Okay, don't get confused. So here we have return, and here I just going to create a function. That function is going to be what we can say, we buy that, right? So once the person is buy that food, what I need to do, or we can simply say, I just want to here like this item, or we can say like food item. Yeah, we can go for item. That's fine. Item. So this is a simple logic. So I just say item. Okay. So I am going to, that is a function, and that function I just going to give a food, pizza. Okay, so whatever the food that the user buys, so let us consider we have so much of buttons like pizzas, burgers, sandwich, whatever it is. So if someone clicks this, what is the button? Someone clicks this something, well, they are interacting with that, the person is going to buy the food. Okay, so the function is going to evoke it, and the item is what the person is clicking. If it is pizza, it's pizza. If it is burger, it's burger. Okay, so what they are clicking, it will be added to this food item. Okay, so now it is added to it, and now what I'm going to do, once this is created, right, I've created it. Once the food is successfully added, okay, once the food is successfully added, let us consider here, we have some of the process. Okay, it takes some process to consider the food and all. Once that is the food is done, then I need to just want to say, what I can say, conform. It is going to be the conform order. So once the food is conformed, then I want to display it like this, conform order. And here I just want to display, what I want to display means, just want to return, I just want to return what I just want to return here. So simply I just remove this one here. I just here creating a function, I returning the item here. Note it down, it is very important. The item is in here. I just going to say the order placed successfully. Okay, like this, and order like this, and the ordered item is, and I just going to add the item like this. Okay, and here if the function is executed, it is going to return what? It is going to return the order. Okay, so we have created, don't get confused, we just created a function, and inside the function we are creating it, right? So when I call this by, what is going to happen, this variable is created and this function is created, but I don't say what to return. So here I just want to say return conform order, and note it down, I not only returning it, I just evoking the whatever the function result, whatever just return. Okay, let's see now, understand, it look like simple but actually not. Okay, so that is the concept is that if I run it, you can see conform order is not one. I think I make a mistake. Okay, order, I just do not add or. If I run it, okay, just copy this one like this. Okay, okay, so where I want to display the answer, so here I just get const notify like this, notify. Okay, and I just want to console.log notify, and here you can see there are so much of thing that we have used. What are the thing? We are storing a function inside and variable expression type, right? So the higher qualities that we discussed about, and we are evoking, we are running a function inside, like we are invoking another function. When I call a function, that function is going to invoke another function, it is going to return another function. That is also in higher order qualities that we have already discussed. Okay, so we can able to use the third one also. So first we will understand and we will go for it. If I run it, you can see the order placed successfully and the order item is pizza, right? It's pretty obvious, right? It will give this answer, right? But just imagine it, order version, Yeah, it will work to React. Yes, of course, React will work in a class-based component. Yeah, what's the problem? That will be work in the class-based component. It will be work fine only. No problem that. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have the cons to notify and we will just call it. So what is happening here, just understand. So here this function is created and this function is created, and just imagine once the function returns something, what's going to happen. The function is get removed from the call stack, right? It's true or not, right? Once the function is returned, when we are working with the call stack, like you can able to see. So what happened when the function is running, right? We are calling the function is allocating a memory, right? So it is in the function scope, it is available in that function, and this function is also in that function. And once the function is get returned, okay, the function is get returned, what happens, it will be get removed from the call stack. So right now whatever the memories that has created inside the function, that is also removed, that is also not anywhere in the space, it is also removed. But now what's happened, this function is going to execute, okay, but you can able to see, we can able to achieve, I think return this one, we can able to take the remove the value that is actually not in the memory, right? So this item, this let food is equal to item, it is actually return the value, the functions is not in the memory, we cannot access it, right? We cannot access a function again, right? So because it is just removed from the call stack, then means whatever the memories that created, that is get removed, right? But here we can see the memories that are removed, the values that are removed from our memory, we can able to access it, right? So here comes the closure concept. So whenever a function, we are creating a function and that function is having another function or another function like that, absolutely fine. So whatever the functions inside that function, you are creating a variable or a function, what will happens means a small type of box is created, and that box is called as closures. Okay, so inside that closures, what will happen, it will put all the references. For example, a food item, it is a reference, I will put inside the closure. There is a function is there, I will put inside the closure. Like that, it will put a reference of it. So whenever a function inside and another function is execute, it always have, even the function is not existed, even the function is not going to execute anymore, it is not completely removed from the memory, we can able to access those variables and functions in a special space. That space is called as closure. That is what happening. When I call this function, the function is return confirm order. Now what's going to happen, this confirm order is going to execute, which means the function is removed from the call stack, right? The function is going to remove from the call stack. So once it is removed, then we, whatever the memory and whatever it is created, it is just going to remove from the call stack, right? So then how we can able to access it, because of the closures, it will stores all the parents reference and memories inside the data, and whenever we want, we can able to access it, okay, and we can able to use it. So that is what happening here. So the same thing, it is not possible in case of parent. For example, if I have a let pre-order, okay, if I have let pre-order and here I say like mango or any fruit, right, like that, and if I try to access, this mango here in the console.log and then pre-order, you can see it is going to throw me an error. It is going to throw me an error. Why? Because the parent, so this is the thing that we need to understand. The parent should not have access to their child variables and environment. This function, it is a parent function and it is cannot access, get into the order function, and it cannot get some values inside that. It is not completely not possible. But a function here, you can see a function here, it has the capability to take the values, the data, the functions that is already available, that is created and that is no longer in our memory, we can able to access it and we can able to get it. So that is why you can able to see, we can able to go topwards and we will getting the items that is pre-ordered it. Okay, so we are getting the item and what we are doing, we are displaying it. Okay, this is actually a closer concept. It is actually the closer, what we are saying, you can just type it here. closer in JavaScript. Okay, you will get that a combination of function bundled together, a function inside another function with reference to its surrounding state, a lexical environment. What is meant by lexical environment? Well, JavaScript, every variable, the JavaScript is completely lexical environment, which means where they are declared based upon their scopes are determined, which means you can see it is inside this function, which means what it is inside this function. Inside this function I can able to access anything, right? So that is the thing. And you can able to this one, this is inside this function, so inside this function I can able to access it anything. That is actually called as lexical environment, right? Where it is declared, the word where it is declared is important, not where it is called. Okay, even though it is called, it is does not matter. Where it is declared, based upon the scope is determined, except only one thing, the this keyword. In JavaScript we use the this keyword, right? So it is not and lexically scoped one. Okay, all other than that, functions, data, whatever it is, everything is lexically scoped where it is declared. But here what is happening, here what is happening, when it look for here, it looks for something that to get, and if that particular item is not there, it just go out of the box, which means the top of its parents, and it will look for it whether it is available or not. And even though the function is not in the memory, the variables are not in the memory during the time, even for example this function is evoked after 5000 or after 5 days, 10 days, what is happening, if this function is trying to access this variable, we can able to access it. Why? Because we have the clauses. The clauses, whenever a function is created, the clauses stores their memories and the data and the functions inside a special space. So in that special place, what we can able to do, we can able to access after 5000 years also, you can able to access it. Okay, so that is actually what this function is of, the clauses is of. Okay, so have you understood it? Console.log. Sir, console.log by pizza, it is working and show output. Okay. Do not access pre-access which you using website in run program. What is the name in website? Which you use website in run program. Okay, so you're asking about this one, right? So this is an online compiler named as JS. Okay, you can use that also. Okay, that's not fine. Okay. Actually you, okay, you're writing whatever I'm right, I'm telling, right? Okay, I think you are asking some questions, I'm not able to figure out what the question that you are asking. Okay, so you are repeating the words that what I am saying, right? Fine, if you have doubts, just put it in the comment. Okay, okay, fine, that's fine. So this is actually the closer, so this is how we can able to access it. And now you can see the I say not like the qualities to get into the first class citizen, the program consider, right? So what are the qualities? A function can able to store inside what? A variable. Yes, it is doing. And you can able to see a function returns an another function. Yes, it is also doing. And we know the callbacks, how we can create it. Well, we just cut it here. We will put the here now, and we will have sense now. So we can able to understand now. So what I'm going to do here, I just going to create another thing. This is going to be conform order. Okay, conform order. And here instead of here we will simply write this conform order, put inside this function. Okay, and here what we will do, we will call this conform order with some data, that is going to be the item, and we can pass the food inside it. So now I think it throws error. No, it is fine. Okay, so now it is much more readable and sensible, right? Just imagine we are calling this function, and what the function is going to do, the function is going to get an item. Okay, that's the get an item, and it is going to return what? And another function. Once the function is executes, once it reaches the return statement, then the function, what is going to happen, it is going to remove from the memory. It is no longer exist, right? It is going to remove from the memory. But with the help of that, what we are having now, the items, right? So this is callback structures, but you can able to work with like that. Okay, closest like that. So now what we are doing, we are getting the function, but the item, it's no longer in the memory, we cannot access it, right? So we cannot access it, it is not no longer in the memories, right? But With the help of that, we can access it. But right now it is in. Why? Because we are passing the foot as an argument. So it is callbacks, right? But when it comes to closer, we are exactly doing the same process. I'm doing the different steps, either using callbacks to achieving this and either using closers to achieving this. Okay. So closers, for callbacks, we are actually passing the thing and we are working on it and we are structuring the things. But when it comes to closers, we will directly put like here, like this, how we have written, like this, simple. Okay, so this is what we are doing. So simply the closures here, they have been mentioned, a function bundled together in reference to the surrounding of the state. For example, here they will clear it. So this is going to be the inner context. What is mean by the context? Context is the space, okay, where it's like the scoping environment. It is the space where our scope is get determined. Okay, so notice we don't pass message as an argument. Yeah, you cannot like that. I'm also not passed it. Oh, here I passed it. I just remove that also. So we can in callback function we can pass it, but here we don't want to pass it. Okay, without passing it, they will mention it here. Notice that we don't pass any argument. Once the function return this inner scope, what's happened? Once the function return this inner scope, what is going to happen? This function outer scope is get removed. The function outer scope, it is getting removed, and only the inner scope is happen. But even though we can able to access its parents values, so that is how the closest will be executed. Okay, so here they will use console.log. You can use the console.log to work on with, but using return keyword is much more specific. Okay, because you need to use it, which you pass reference other function. I'm not getting the things. Like, can you elaborate it? Pass reference other functions, right, sir? Yeah, like closest is not like passing reference. I'm not getting it, but pretty safe. So not passing reference. So whenever the function is created, the memory, it's not only in the memory space, right? Once the function is executed, those memories are get removed. But in case of functions, a special type of memory is created, that is closest. Okay, so that in that space all our data are get stored. So whenever we want, we can able to access it even after 5 days, 10 days. What we can do, we can go there and we can able to access it. We can simply achieve it. Okay, so that's what closer is there. And mm, yeah, there is another. Okay, so that is actually what it will do. And actually there is a huge difference between pass by reference and closer. There is a difference between that. That concept, what is the concept is of, just a minute. I think I have it that. Mm, mm, mm. There is a concept where we can able to pass multiple reference and we can able to pass a single reference as an argument. That is also the concept is that. Actually that name is going to be just mm, closures currying. Yeah, I found it out. That is currying functions. So they are called as currying functions. So with the help of this, what you can do, you can make currying functions. What is mean by currying functions means splitting of the, I just forgot the name, that is currying function, and we have another one that is compose. So the compose is actually the paradigm. So you can you are creating an object, right? So putting together the data and function together, right? So and we are creating some big programs like websites with the help of that, with some neat structure, right? So compose is also like that. So what is the difference between object oriented and function oriented? So when I say object oriented, first you will initially you will build something big, right? You will create the entire thing big, and from the object you will create small things and you will take the values data and you will work on it, right? So that's what you will do. So what is the issue with this object oriented programming? Just imagine if there is a problem in that object, then it is going to affect all the components that is created, right? For example, you have created an object. Okay, let us say you have created an object. Okay, So with the help of this object, you have do some functionality around 6 to 7 functionalities you have been created, okay, to create a website. Okay, just imagine if you have any problem with your object, then what is going to happen? It is going to affect all the 6 and 7 components that you have created, right? Because we are building the big thing so before itself, and we from that we are creating it, right? It is going to affect. That's one. And the second one is the famous gorilla banana problem. So what is mean by that? So I just asked for a banana, so but it gives gorilla with banana. Okay, so that's it. What is mean by that? When we are working with object, everything is together. Like the data, all the object, everything is together, right? So, but I don't actually want it in most of the cases or some of the cases. I just want only one function, but we need to access the entire object. We need to take the entire object, right? So that's what in that type of cases it will make some scenarios. Okay, so that is also a problem that comes to it. So what is the main difference between object oriented and functional oriented? Well, object oriented is a concept. It says that I group together, right? Let us come group together the data and functions, let's put together, and big thing is created, an object is created. From that we will create small parts, okay, small components, and we will create it. That is what it will do. But function oriented is way different. What is that? I will put the data and function separately. Okay, I don't put it together and mingle it. I just it's in separate, and it is not like in a big thing creating small thing. Because if we are creating object and we are creating some small thing, we know the problems we have discussed. Two problems, more problems is there. Basically, the two things will be affected. First one is going to be everything will be affected if the object has some problem. All the components will be affected. First one. And second one is going to be, and that's what the problem that faced with the Angular. Okay, and second one is going to be the gorilla monkey banana with gorilla problem. So that's what, like that. So I don't want entire thing whenever I'm creating. I just want single thing, but I cannot able to access like that. So I just want to get all the object, whatever I want. I just want to go for the entire object and I need to get it. So that's what also a bigger thing. Okay, so that is object oriented. Function oriented, I say now it is not keep the data and function together. It will be separate only. But the thing with function oriented, or it will build small function, and from that small function we will compose it together to a bigger one. Okay, for example, you are creating small component and you are coming up with an entire website, right? So how that is cool actually, right? That is actually cool. And whenever we are working with object oriented, we already have the data and function together, and from that we will create small components whenever we need it, right? But function oriented is we will create small things and we will group it together and compose together to come up with this entire functionality. For example, you want to create an Amazon cart functionality. Okay, so we will write separate function for each and everything. For example, adding cart data, a separate function. Order placed cart data, a separate function. And the total items cart data, a separate function. Like that we will create separate function, and then what we will do, we will group together into a single function and we will combine together. So in that way we don't want to write and say everything. Okay, and actually not, no one is not master in JavaScript. Okay, so not any other programming language, no one is that. So actually I'm exploring the core concepts of JavaScript. Okay, so that is why I just came into the concepts, core concepts. Okay, so that is what I'm just focusing on. So that's what I can able to do. That is website, that not exactly the functional component. That is just a website. I'm speaking about the functionality. When you creating an object, you need to take an object and you need to create small functionality, right? But when it comes to functional oriented programming language, you will create small functionality. So what is that? For example, that is the example I give. If it is a cart, then adding an item to a cart, it is a functionality. So for that, separate function. And removing an item from a cart, that is separate functionality, right? So we will create a separate function. So adding item, we have separate function. Removing an item, we have separate function. And what we can do, we can update an item, we can have separate function. Like that we have separate, we will create each and everything for similar function, separate function. And then what we will do, according to the flow, we will group together. Okay, so that's what it's that's why the which will be very good. Okay, so functionality, it will be really good. Okay, so you can use it. But you can, that's these principles and these things, it's going to be helpful in the system design process, okay, not in the normal website that we are building. Okay, so you can build a website like that. So when you are creating some product, okay, so when you are coming with the product, then it will be really take care how you are creating, because we know what is object oriented programming and the four pillars and everything. But just imagine, for every website we are using the object oriented programming language and creating according to we are creating that, no, right? We will create according to the website how it is look like, right? We will just create like that. Then what we will do, we just do some modification to make the optimized code and all. That's what we will do, same exactly that. When you are right now, if you are in a development field, you don't just want to focus on this one, because this will be really helpful for when you scale the business and when you actually done with the products. Okay, so that's the case. Okay, yeah, yeah, you can surely learn JavaScript after learning the development. Okay, so if you know that, that's absolutely fine, you can get into it, it has a huge scope. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so that is actually what is closer it is, and we will move for currying. Okay, create a project, that is important. Okay, so don't, if you focus on core concept of JavaScript, you need to focus for your entire lifetime. Okay, because every day the updations will come, and the theories are changeable, right? Right now I'm telling the theory like only var and function as hoisting. That is not true. I'm telling for this section. Okay, that is not true actually. I'm telling for this section. But when you attended my Wednesday class, I will tell that that is not true. Okay, you can able to see that in the Wednesday frames. So I will tell that hoisting is not, that is not true, because that is not actually, we don't want to focus for building something is actually programming, not to look into how the program look like. Okay, we need to build something, that is actually a main thing. Okay, so this will be really helpful to understanding purpose. So building is the main, and this will be a regular learning, daily updating ourselves. That's what. Okay, fine. Okay, what is the difference between nan and undefined? Yeah, that's what we actually think, right? So you cannot see the undefined keyword in some other programming language without purposely. Okay, so nan, what is, you're asking nan, you are asking for null or undefined, or nan or undefined? You're asking with the difference between null and undefined, or nan undefined? That is the thing I just clear it out. Okay, so we will discuss what is the one more thing we have left is if like immediate evoking function, immediate evoking function. I think what is the short form? Immediate evoking function, IIFE. Yeah, immediate evoking function execution. Yeah, what is the difference between nan and undefined? So a nan and undefined, or null and undefined? I don't know. Like you are asking for null and undefined or nan and undefined. If it is nan and undefined, there is no. We don't want to compare these things. Nan means not a number. If something that is not a number, then we will produce nan. Undefined is like something. It is a data type. It is a special data type, special keyword that we have with us. Okay, so it is something. Right now it is not there, but we're going to replace it in further. Okay, so if you create a variable without a value, which means you're going to give value in later times, right? So that is undefined. We check the data type for that, that is undefined, but later you're going to give the value, it is replaceable one. And second one is the hoisting process we have discussed, right? So JavaScript it itself makes undefined during the hoisting process, during the variable creation. Okay, so it is used for that purpose only. We don't declare a variable with undefined, that is actually not needed. When you declare a variable without a value, it is undefined only, because we going to give one value later words. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, so nan actually is a number, but it is correct number, right? But it is not a correct number. The data type of nan is a number, but nan, what it will look for is, if something is not a number, then it will be work. For example, when you are working with some of the addition operation, or some of the operations, like you have 12 and you are dividing with hello, 12 divided by hello, it's not an right statement, right? So it is not a number, right? So in that time, we will get not a number. Okay, so the meaning of it, the expand format is not a number, but the data type of not a number is a number. Okay, it's also weird concepts. Okay, so it will be like that only, but the data type of nan is a number, but it will determine whether the particular thing is number or not a number. Okay, we have a function called isnan. So with the help of isnan method, what you can understand, you can check means whether it is a number or not a number. Like we have array is array, like that, right? So like that method, we can use the isnan method to find out whether the number is not a number or like that. So it is just like an term to understand it is a number or not a number, to find out. Okay, but the data type of nan is, what is the type of, sorry, the type of nan is going to be number. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so this one, immediate evoking function, so it's going to be the probably our last concept for this advanced section. Most people know what is immediate evoking function, but actually they don't know. They know that it is a concept that a function will evoke itself. Okay, so that how people will know that. But why? If you are creating something, you need to ask something, right? So if it is present, then why it is used for? So it will be a long, very long evolution that has been happened, and so much of confusion it will be there. It is something related to the exports and imports keyword right now we are using, right? So it is the update. It is the update right now. No one is using immediate working function. You can able to check it out. In some cases we will avoid that. So the main purpose of immediate working function is to two things. One is for save your memory, and another one is save your global variable to getting polluted from outside. So what is mean by that? If I say save your memory, I already mentioned that JavaScript is an, what is that? JavaScript is JavaScript, we have memory heap and call stack, right? So not like other programming language, here JavaScript clean its own memory. Okay, we don't clean it. So there is an algorithm called clean and swipe, mark and swipe. Okay, so mark and sweep, there is an algorithm is there, and what is the algorithm will do means it will look for the non-connected data and function, and it will automatically clean it. What is mean by? So if a function is executed, or a function, if the variable is not going to use anymore, then the data are getting removed from our browser automatically. Okay, so that's what it will do. Yeah. If you give a parenthesis out there, then it is an immediate working function. For example, if you are creating a function for, and you are wrapping it like this, it is not going to execute anything, right? If I say console.log hello, and if I save it here, and if we run it, whether it is executing, it is not evoking, then how can I say it is in immediate evoking function, right? So either you want to use the evoking symbol at the end. So this is actually we need to focus. We are wrapping it with this thing, and we are evoking it. Okay, so if I run it now, it will be executed without calling the function name. It will be executed. Not only here, you don't want to follow, put the sign here, you can able to put the sign here also. Yes, it will be acceptable. Inside this also, it is also a valid. You can able to run a function. Simply this parenthesis is used for evoking a function. So here what we are doing, we don't call evoke a function with their name. Instead what we are doing, we are evoking a function once the function is getting declared. Okay, so that is what it is. Yeah, okay, so that is going to be evoking function. Okay, where I lit. Yeah, we lit with the memory, right? So why we are using this, we used it in bit older couple of things has been not changed, we used it. So what are the problems that we have is, yeah, you need to call a function. So the problem we have is, the first one is going to be the memory, and second one is going to be saving your variable from getting polluted, global variable from getting polluted. Okay, so for that, let's see. I just let us go here. I don't know what is the project is of. What I'm going to do, I just to remove this thing. Okay, so I just going to have an two files. You can able to see the files, right? So I just going to have an index.html file, and here I have script file. That's going to be, app.js, right? So this is going to be the file, and here what is the concept that we have discussing right now? It is going to be I immediate working function, right? Working function, right? Sorry, immediate working function. So why it is used for? Because for two things. One is for I say that it is for the memory management and stopping getting polluted. Global variables, saving the global variables from getting polluted, right? So this is what. So first we will see memory. So let us discuss. I already mentioned it before. The memories are limited in JavaScript, so you cannot use a memory as it like. Okay, so you cannot use it. So what will happen means, so what will happen means, if you use a lot of memories means, so I say like JavaScript has an automatic memory cleaning things. Okay, so it cleans its memory automatically and it saves some times, right? So we cannot focus on memory cleaning. It saves some time because of that. But the actual thing is here it is the second one. What is the actual thing that we need to focus? Because it is cleaning automatically its memory, it doesn't touch some of the memory. It does not touch the memories, some of the memories. What all are that means? When you create a variable globally, when you create a variable, which means when you create a global variable, it will be stayed in the memory as long as. Okay, so it never clean the memory. And when you create an event listener, like clicking the button and doing something, and when you create an what can I say, there's so much of things is there. Some of the things, when you create a variable is like that, so much of things is there, and these things are never, they don't clean automatically. The main important thing is global variable, because as a junior or the developer, what we will do, we will create global variable. Because when we create a variable inside a function, and when we create a variable inside a block level, we feel like the scope concept will be much more confused. So what the developers, what the beginner level they will do, they will create all the variable in globally, whatever it do, everything in global. So it will cause us some problem, and that is the main thing. So those memories are not cleanable. Okay, so they are not when I create a variable like this, what a equal to 10, even though this value is not going to use anymore, it is going to be in the memory for the entire website. It is going to be in the memory for its lifetime. Okay, so the memory is getting occupied. But when you create a function like this function b, and we are you putting this memory inside this, now what going to happen? Well, now you can able to see until what is the lifespan of function. Once the function is get executed, it is get removed from its, right? It is get removed from its scope, right? So all the memories that are created inside the functions also, what will happen? It will get removed. Okay, so that is the one thing. So it is when we are creating things, so you can see some of the advice that the senior developers they will do when doing that. Just avoid more, just focus when you are creating when you are creating global variable, you need to focus whether it is limited or not. Okay, that not much focus when you creating small application, that is not focus. It will be used, it will be every advanced concept, it will be really useful for when you work with some production level projects and like that. Okay, it will be careful. Okay, it will be helpful in long ago. Okay, so that's what. So we should, instead of whenever we want, we can use the what we can use the global variable and we can declare it. But whenever we can able to avoid that thing, we need to avoid it. Okay, instead of that, okay, it is easy, I can able to put like that, don't do that. Okay, try to avoid that. Okay, so if you can, just avoid it. Okay, so during the global scope, that's one. And second one is, when we working with the JavaScript file, it is not what we are not going to work with only one JavaScript file. We will work with more JavaScript file, right? For example, if I say here, I say let name equal to, I say 10, not 10, I just say Ben. Okay, let's go for Ben. And here I just going to say you can have the script file, and here I just going to add another script file, and this is going to be app1.js. Okay, like this js. And here I just going to create another file like this, app1.js, like this. And here what I going to do, here if I console.log name, you can see there is no variable I created. I only what I created, it is going to be console.log name. Where the name is created, the name it is in app.js, right? So if I go and open with live server, and the file is going to open, let us go here, inspect it, console log it, you can able to see the bin is getting loaded, right? This is called global pollute. You can able to see when you creating a variable globally, when you are creating a variable globally, you can able to access whatever the file throughout the file. If I put the script top of it, if I put the script top of it, now what's going to happen? We cannot access it because the order is important. Once this one is run, then only this is going to run, right? So if I just go here and if I run it, you can able to see nothing, right? You can able to see an empty is created, right? It is not throwing anything. So that's what, so we cannot access it. But when we are working with this one, when we are having multiple JavaScript file, when we are working with something like this one, what is going to happen? You can able to see the bin, right? It can be accessible. So it is look like, okay, so what is the problem? We can able to access it. That's not, we can able to access it. So what is the problem like that? But the thing is not like that. Just imagine why you are creating some separate file, because that is different, this is different. Because of this global variable, we can able to access that things, means we can able to modify here. And if you are modifying here, means later somehow that is going to affect our entire program, right? It is going to affect our entire program when we are working with event driveness, and it is going to be very dangerous. So that is going to be, that is called as global pollute. Okay, so when we are creating a variable with globally, it is accessible throughout the entire script. You creating 10 script, and we are not, we not able to remember, right? I already created an a variable, so I marked it down in my note. I should not create another variable. I cannot tell like that, right? Because we will create it and we will have some reference error, syntax error, go and finding something, it will be critical task for us. Okay, so and also the memory, when we create a memory globally, then it will be also a critical task for us. Okay, so that is the second thing that we need to focus. So, and you can notice that I try to access this a variable, you can able to see, if I try to access this a variable, it is going to throw me an error. What is the reference a is not defined? Why? Because you can see in app.js, the a variable is inside a function. So which means in JavaScript, everything is lexically scoped, right? So means you can able to access this variable inside this function only, not even the outside of this page, you cannot access it. Then how can we access here, right? So that is the concept. That is the concept of immediate evoking function. Okay, so immediate evoking function, what it can do, it will evoke the function immediately, right? It is going to evoke the function immediately. As soon as the page load, it will going to evoke the function immediately without we don't want to call anything. It is going to evoke itself. So with the help of immediate evoking function, we can able to avoid this global pollute, and also we can able to store those variable inside the function only. Okay, we are not storing it in globally. We can able to avoid the global space also, but still the global spaces get affected. Let's see how it is happening. Okay, for example, right now what is our goal is going to be, here we have name, and if I try to access here, it will be in the name, right? It will be in the name. And if I try to do this, and you can able to see, we can able to access the name. I need to stop it. How can I stop it? Because, and I need to variable in the global only. So in that cases, what we can do, we can create an immediate working function. So what we can do, we can simply, this is going to be a function, and here I just going to say this function is going to be I can say app, this is the file name. Okay, let us consider like this app, and this app is going to have all the things. Now what's going to happen, whatever the program that you are going to write, okay, it is going to be inside this it is going to be inside this functions only. So it is now functionally scoped. So whatever the program that you are writing here, you will write it inside here only, right? So we will much more structure it. So what the immediate evoking function will do, when I use this parenthesis, the function is going to evoke the function immediately as soon as the page is run, right? As soon as the page gets run. And also what is going to happen, if I try to access the name inside a function, we cannot access it, right? We cannot access it. If right now, if I go here and if I run it, you can see it cannot access it. It cannot access the variable outside a function. So what we can do, whatever the code that we want to write, we can write it here inside it, and we can able to easily work it out, right? So we can put it here. And same like that, if you don't want to if we don't want to affect your global pollute, what we can do, we can create an immediate evoking function, and inside that we can put all our variables and everything here. It will not access to the next script. We are not able to access to the next script. So which means we are stopping the polluter, right? So we are stopping that. So this is one of the way we used. You can see this immediate evoking concept in jQuery. When you are writing a library, that is pretty right now it's not that much famous. We have jQuery, a library. With the help of jQuery, we will start with $sign dot document dot ready, and we will use it, right? So what is that? So once the pages get ready, whatever the function, whatever we written inside the function, it will get executed. The same like that, we are creating our own get ready function. That's it. Okay, once the function is get ready, the immediate working function is get run. So why we are using that get ready means, because when you use that function something like that, you cannot able to access those variables in the another script. The global script is stopped, it is inside a function. You cannot access those variables in any other script. Okay, so we are stopping the global pollute. Same like that in immediate function, when we are writing immediate evoking function, and whatever the code that I need to run, whatever the functionality I need to run inside that function, I will write it. It will be only inside this function. We cannot send the information to any other page or outside. So in this way we will stop the global pollute. Okay, so that is the reason we have the immediate evoking function with us, and this way we can able to stop the global, more global pollute is happening in the global store. Lot of global memories happen, right? So we can able to actually stop it. Okay, once the function is get executed, we can able to stop it. So the problems get solved. And right now, why you cannot see this particular thing, not right, even you cannot see jQuery in your use cases right now, right? So people using React, the things are getting updated. So likewise, same like that, the immediate evoking function is getting updated to, you hear the word browserify and content JS, you may clear that word. So that is pretty the require function. So when you, we will use this file require this, like that modules, some of the modules concept came, right? So if you use the node.js old one, you will see const express is equal to require express, right? So that is what that particular thing will do. So now that is also get updated. We are not using the browserify content.js or like that. In JavaScript itself, we have called the export module and import module. You will use it in React, right? So if you create a component export, for example, function app, and you will create return whatever it is, and below it you will write export app, and you will import it in the another page, right? Exactly the same thing. I'm creating it in separate place, and I'm just exporting it. So it is inside a function, so we cannot access those values any other component. If I create a variable inside a function, I can able to access one side only, inside only. We cannot access those variable in any other component. If we, but actually JavaScript can, it can able to access it. Because of this concepts only, we are having this export function, import function, content. It is an evolution. So initially we have this problem. So in the first day of class I will tell, right? So why we have object oriented and classes. What is that? Classes is not an actual thing in JavaScript, we discussed, right? So we have two problems. One is the repetition, and another one is the memory. For function is created in every object. So for that we will have the factory function. Factory function gets updated much more. Constructor function, prototypal inheritances happen. Then what we will do, we will update it to much more. That is the syntactic sugar classes right now we have, and that is updated to classes inheritance. So we have discussed in the day one, right? Same like that, modules all also update. So I think you will see the image in Google, modules in JavaScript. I think it will be great if you have the images means. Let I check. Mm. Mhm. Yeah, you can able to see here. So you can see immediate evoking function, pretty old, we have been used. And then sorry, not to content JS, it's common JS. So browserify common JS that we have been used, and right now we are using the ES6 syntax. So the export module and import module. So there is a triangle like structure will be there. You can check it out. This is actually the common JS. So this is pretty thing that we used. So right, the older we use the record function, and we will export that file to here, and we will use it. And AMD, I don't know that much of things, because after 𝐏𝐚𝐫𝐭𝐢𝐜𝐚 we are using mostly 𝐏𝐿 much more popular compared to I think AMD and UMD. So 𝐏𝐿 we will use it till now we are using for Node.js for some purposes. And once the import module and export module component, most of them are updated to that one. Okay, you can able to see, right? If you type the evolution of modules, you can able to see it is little bit hard to understand, but the thing is here, everything is getting updated. So immediate working function is built for the purpose of exporting. I need the control, I need to tell which one I need to access and which file I don't want to access, right? So that is the control that we are having. Okay, so that is what immediate working function in the stage of initial stage, you can able to see immediate working function initial stage we are having. And that's get finally updated to the browserify 𝐏𝐚𝐫𝐽s. They are outer libraries, external libraries. We use the external libraries to make things simple. And then what happened, then we itself have the own libraries, right? So we have the export and import modules with us. Then we want to use the external libraries to do this functionality, right? So it's just simply like how the asynchronous processes happen, right? So what will happen, we will use for asynchronous JavaScript, we will use Ajax, right? So we will use Ajax to fetch data, and we will work with the things. And then what happened, oh, you can able to see that also, that evolution also. Asynchronous, you can, I think it will be great if you have that means. uh, I think let me type some other words. Ajax, with Axios, with Switch, you can able to see that. So we actually use Ajax, then the external library Axios we will get introduced. That is much more easier and things to do with that. And right now JavaScript itself has the inbuilt things, not itself, so what itself, it will have the inbuilt things. So we are mostly shifting to the Fetch API, right? Axios are still there. I'm not telling Axios are not there. We will use it whenever we wanted it according to the programming specifics. Okay, so but Ajax is pretty old, right? So no one using that. So same like that, jQuery is pretty old. Everyone is used to jQuery during the time because of its simplicity in the syntax of writing JavaScript. It will remove the hassle of vanilla JavaScript. But later React came, it becomes more powerful, right? Angular came, and Angular have it changed the idea. And from that we have the React right now. Lot of scopes in React, right? So React changed the entire perspective. No one is using jQuery, and it's pretty, the use case is downtrend for jQuery and other frameworks. You can see the Bootstrap, jQuery, and everything in downtrend. And you can see the uptrend towards JavaScript, Next.js, and Tailwind CSS, those things. Okay, because things are getting changed according to the things, everything will be getting changed. Okay, so that's what happened. Immediate working function, we used it, and then we feel much better. What is much better? That's what. So it will, everything will be get updated, and we are using that. Okay, so actually that's all are the concept. Whatever the concept I think I promised to take, we will cover it off and much more deeperly, like much more we have more time to discuss. So I just covered everything here. And I again repeating, this all just advanced to mastery get grow. Okay, so like you are starting with, that is very good, and this is more than enough. If you mastered till this is more than enough. You can able to come up with those things. Only thing is you need to focus on DOM to get through with what is the creative thing I can do, like that you need to come up with. Okay, so this is more than enough to to get through a developer. Okay, but you need to get into JavaScript. People likes JavaScript, and you want to explore the JavaScript. I highly recommend. It's not we need to learn more. Even I'm learning so much new things every day in JavaScript. Every day it's becomes fresh for me. So I that's why I'm saying, like if people are interested, you can able to watch the Wednesdays, just 30 minutes every day we are conducting the class. Okay, so every day it's a Holo, the series name is Holo JavaScript. You can able to see, it is not on it's a premium show, I think so. Premium show, so you can able to watch it in the video section. And if you like and subscribe the channel and click the icon, you can get notified once the Holo JavaScript is get updated. We will update it for the last while around 5 to 6 classes is already done. And every day we are conducting the internal works, like how each and every concept we are decoding and much more getting through it, and we are getting the answers, and we are making things happen. Okay, you can have a look at if you definitely like it. If you are really a JavaScript lover, you will definitely like it. Have a look into that. And that's all for today. If you have any doubts, you can ask it, because we have some more times. We can end the session at right now it's 5:50, right? If you have doubts, you can ask me. We will continue till the 8, or you don't have doubts means just fill the forms. And if you feel the class, how the entire class is worthy, just give a like and subscribe. It will really motivate us to grow more. So just give a like and subscribe. And if you want to contact with us, you need to connect with us. Just take a screenshot of this class and put it in your LinkedIn post, and tag me, and tag Navid Viswasar to get through it. Okay, so I hope that you enjoy the class. See you in the next time. Thank you.